Hey there, everybody. Pete here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another edition of the show. Today, as we're like in the middle of the holiday season, Wild Bill and I, Kirk and I, and all three of us, or two of us, haven't really had a chance to get together to record some new stuff. So I figure here from the compound, from the Sea of Tranquility Studios, I'm going to talk about some other stuff that I've got on the shelves that I think are worth talking about. So today it's all about the Batman No Man's Land storyline, which is a pretty cool year-long run of comics from DC Comics in 1999. It basically lasted almost the entire year. And it ran through, it was one of those crossover stories that ran through all the various Batman-related comics. So, of course, you had Detective Comics, Shadow of the Bat, the regular Batman title, Legends of the Dark Knight, all sorts of other things, other comics and what have you, and pretty major storyline. So it actually started, and I've got the trades, okay, what some people call graphic novels, but the trades, and it basically started with the storyline Cataclysm. Okay, so here basically a pretty serious earthquake hits Gotham City, or at least the part of the country where Gotham is supposed to reside, okay? And Gotham is left kind of in ruins, and the U.S. government decides to step in and evacuate all the residents of Gotham. So you have a good chunk of the population who do so, and there's a bunch that don't. And of course, a good chunk of those who decide not to leave are the gangs and the villains, okay, and part of the police force, and a chunk of society as well. So because they decide not to leave, the U.S. government's like, well, we're going to kind of shut you off from the rest of the world here, rest of society, and they basically close down the bridges. They put like a military force up all around the exit points of Gotham City. So if you can envision Gotham City as being New York City, all those major bridges that go into New York City, into Manhattan, closed off. Military blockades set up everywhere, and basically you've got Gotham set up under almost like quarantine situations. So it kind of all starts here. So this is where the earthquake happens. Batman winds up leaving Gotham City to go and try and convince the government to reconsider what they're doing and give Gotham the help that it needs to get back to where it needs to be. Let's clean up and let's take care of the sick and all that kind of stuff. Get food there and all that, and get Gotham back. But the U.S. government's having no part of it. They're like, you know what? We're going to kind of cordon them off, put them under quarantine until we figure out what the hell to do with them, and they're in no rush to do so. So meanwhile, you've got all these gangs. You've got the Penguin and Two-Face and the Joker and Clayface and Bane and all these other supervillains who are now fighting each other over the right to rule what is now left of Gotham and its ruins. And then you've got, Detective Gordon, or Chief Gordon, I think at the time, right? So he's got a ragtag group of Gotham City Police Department, the CPD, who have stayed behind, and they're struggling to keep order going, right? And they have to constantly battle with the gangs and the villains. And now that it's almost like this battle for supremacy that's happening throughout all of Gotham from those who left behind. But meanwhile, Commissioner Gordon is like, where's Batman? Batman has basically abandoned us when we need him the most. Screw him, in other words. So there's this animosity that's happening. Even though, Batman, Bruce Wayne, is trying his best to figure out what can be done for Gotham, but he's leaving the rest, like Batgirl and all of his, we got Robin and Nightwing and everybody else is kind of trying to do their thing while Batman, is away trying to, figure things out. So, like I said, we got the first volume here is the Cataclysm. All right, various writers on this. I mean, geez, you've got Huntress and Oracle. Some of the main ones that are kind of left behind while Batman is kind of off doing his thing is Nightwing, Robin, Oracle, Batgirl, and Huntress. So those are the main heroes that are left trying to help retain some order here. So you've got this volume, a lot of different writers: Jordan Gorfinkel, Greg Rucka, Chuck Dixon, Scott Beatty, Paul Dini, Bob Gale, Devin Grayson, Kelly Puckett, Larry Hama, and Bronwyn Carlton are the main writers. And you've got all sorts of artists who worked on these. I think it was 80 issues in total across all of these different books. So here you've got kind of, like I said, kind of where it all starts. All right, and then we move on to the actual No Man's Land volume. So here's the first one right here. And I've got to say, these volumes are pretty well put together. The writing and the storyline is really good, and it really builds up nicely. So, the first volume, kind of here you've got, Batman and Alfred figuring out what they're going to do. And for those of you who follow the DC films, the Batman films, so you've got The Dark Knight Rises, which was the last one with Christian Bale. That was the one with Bane. Actually, the whole second half. It's interesting how that film basically took some of the main parts of both the Nightfall storyline and No Man's Land and kind of put them together. First half of the movie is Bane's kind of rise to underworld power, fighting Batman, breaking his back, and Bruce Wayne going off to heal himself and get back his confidence and his skills and heal his body to go and battle Bane again. And then the second half of the film actually is the No Man's Land storyline, all right, where you've got Gotham kind of, like I said, blocked off from the rest of the world, right? And all these villainous, the underworld, all trying to, take over, so to speak. So here we have volume 2. Great art in these. And again, there's a lot of different flavors throughout because you've got all the different artists working. Here, there's the penguin you see there. I really found this entire run, next to Nightfall, probably one of my favorites. Although the Owls storyline, which was done later on, also really, really well done. I'm trying to think of which other ones. There's so many of them. I think I often talk about how, and Wild Bill and I talk about this all the time. It's like, when it comes to like Marvel stuff, I really prefer the 60s, 70s, and a little bit of the 80s as my favorite eras of Marvel Comics. But when it comes to DC, I actually like a lot of what I've read post like kind of late 80s into the 90s and more recently. I think that DC does the edgier stuff these days in more recent times, but yet the better days of Marvel were definitely back in those decades. So here you have, what are we up to now? Volume 3. Okay. And here we see that the Superman's there. You would think, based on what's going on, that Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern would come kind of help out what's going on here in Gotham. But this was basically Batman and the Batman families this was kind of their mess to kind of help out and deal with. You got Two-Face there, right? And then we'll go to volume 4. This one's really cool. So I believe by this point, I believe Batman has already come back. And now now as you can see, you got the Joker, you got Bane. All right, now it's starting to get really, really interesting. And Bane, as always, proves to be one tough hombre. You've got Killer Croc there as well. I mean, what's really fun about this, and another reason why I like the Nightfall storyline too, is like so many of the villains pop up in here. Because again, they're all fighting each other to rule Gotham in the way that they want to rule Gotham now that it's complete bedlam and the government basically has shut Gotham off from everything. And then finally, we've got volume 5. It's basically the finale. So, of course, you see the specter of the Joker back there. So, as always, the Joker's got to figure into the finale of just about anything when it comes to Batman. Who's that? She-Hulk at the bottom? No, it's not. Looks like her, though, right? That is actually, I believe that's Poison Ivy. If I remember correctly. You got Harley Quinn, of course, gets involved here as well. Just a lot of fun, worth the read. You know, like I said, it's a long storyline arc. We're talking here 80 issues in its original run. I don't believe all 80 are included in these volumes. I think it's pretty close. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is all of them. But you know, this is some serious stuff here. A lot of stuff. So I would definitely encourage you to check these out if you haven't. If you're a Batman fan, if you're someone who followed Batman, maybe about my age and whatnot, and read a lot of Batman comics back in the early days when maybe haven't kept up with some of the newer stuff, I would say definitely check out the No Man's Land storyline. Go pick up some of these trades. I think they've reissued these so many times, and this series, these volumes, I think already are kind of old. I think there's been another set of reissues that have come out that include all these. I think it's less overall books, and the books that are available are a little thicker, kind of like what they did with Nightfall. So definitely check them out. But there's so many good storylines. We'll try. There's the War Games I haven't talked about yet too, which we might do if we don't get to tape again. If Bill and I don't get to tape again over the next week, but I think we are planning on doing that. So anyway, enjoy it, and thanks for all your subscriptions. If you haven't subscribed and you watch us regularly, please do click that subscribe button and click the little notification bell so you'll get an email every time that we post a new video. And I love the comments, so keep the comments coming. So if you like the No Man's Land storyline, give a little comment on why, and maybe some other Batman storylines, long form story arcs that maybe you'd like to see us talk about. If I've got them, if I've read them, I'm happy to talk about them. So till next time, I am Pete for Wild Bill and for Kirk. We are Comic Book Geezers, and have a wonderful holiday season, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that good stuff, and hopefully we'll see you before the new year, right? And as we move into 2021. So take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.